No matter your school of thought, if your status is dead, you will not completely digest what you just read. I'm speaking from experience, I was dead too, thinking I knew it all, you know, just like you. Calling myself black, African and Hebrew, thinking I'm opaque when I'm really see-through. Thinking I'm a master, but a master is a student, always learning, having power, and won't abuse it. Claiming my complexion is that of the universe, not knowing saying I'm black is really a curse. Making me civilly dead and in a slave status and brand like a product, rights abuse treated like an object. Thinking they are psychotic or high off narcotics, blaming the white man, racism, whatever I call it. Until I looked within, I wasn't all for it. When I looked within, I found my last prophet. At first I thought just another religion and man worship, till I read some Quran MSTA verses. Went through the stage of why I wasn't told, realizing the cognizant is not the conscious road. Realizing all the so-called black leaders were taught from Garvey Black Hebrews and W.D. Fraud. Who cares why they never told? At least I know now, circle 7 is the chakra above your brow. Spirituality is breathing with more African and synonymous. Never knew, anonymous. On occasion, I slipped up and still call my people black, smoking a blunt and took some sips of yak, showing a license, pulled over in my act to more science. Now I'm plugged in like a phone jack, with crazy glue on the socket and plug. I won't be unplugged. Then it made sense to me why Atlas shrugged. Atlas shrugged. Damn. Islam, peace and love. We're here once again for a second installment of Moorish Hebrews. We are not Hebrew Israelites. We got a couple more brothers that jumped on, you know what I mean? Because, you know, apparently the Moorish Hebrew community is full of individuals who actually recognize and acknowledge their nationality and birthrights as Moors. So we're gonna I'm gonna step back, I'm gonna yield the floor and let the brothers introduce themselves, and they're gonna go in on whatever it is that they want to go in on to get the message out there. One, to all the Hebrew Israelites out there that think that they're not Moorish American, and two, for all the people who, from the first video we put up, we had a lot of people commenting, and you know what I mean, I don't know how many people had the guts to send an email, but they had a lot of comments to make, you know what I mean, with regard to challenging what the Moors were presenting. So the floor is yours. Moors, do your thing, go in and let's wake some people up again. Islam.
Islam. Well, thanks once again, Brother Cujo, for allowing us to come and do a part 2. And who knows, it might be a part 3 as we get deeper and deeper into this thing, because there's so much information. It's a plethora of information that we can actually go into, that's just to show and prove to our brothers and sisters that, you know, we are Moors, that we are who we say we are, and that we're just not making something up and joining a club or some organization as some have stated. I want to give love to all of my brothers and sisters out there You know, we are the same brothers and sisters, same brothers, same mothers. And we want to say that we're not here to contend against you. We're not here to debate against you, because really there's nothing to debate about, to be honest with you. Your nationality is such, and your bloodline is such. So we're going to go in a little bit tonight, and I just want to also, as I always do, give big ups to our prophet, this man right here, who has brought back our nationality, the consciousness. There is Brother Noble Drew Ali. Take a good look at him, because he's the one in this modern time, the prophet in this modern times, that brought us back the consciousness of who we are when we fell asleep as Moors, as Hebrew Israelites, as Kemetans or Ecuptids or Tomoreans, as so-called Ethiopians or Abyssinians, so-called Hindus. All of them are our people, same folk. And this man right here, he pulled it off. He did it. Right here. Take a good look at him, because he ain't going nowhere. He's going to be in the minds of our people. And I want to start off, before I introduce a couple other brothers that's going to share their testimonies, how they came into the consciousness of who they are as Moors. And the first scripture I want to read, and you guys are very, very familiar with this one. This comes from Isaiah, Yeshaya, or as the other brother said, you know, Yahashawa, or Yeshawa, okay? It comes from chapter 1, verse 3 through 7. I'm sorry, yeah, verse 1 and 3. It says, the ox knows its owner, and the ass, or the donkey, his master's crib. But Israel does not know. My people do not consider. I'm going to read that one more time. I want you guys to listen to that verse very, very closely, because that's where we're at right now in this dispensation of time, because you got to understand prophecy is for a future event, which we're living in it right now. The ox knows his owner, and the donkey his master's crib. But Israel do not know. My people do not consider. The next verse I'm going to read before I introduce our brothers is, and you guys are familiar with this one as well, Hosea chapter 4, verse 6 and 7. It says, my people are destroyed for the lack of knowledge. Because you have rejected knowledge, I will also reject you, that you shall be no priest unto me. Seeing you have forgotten the law of your power, I will also forget your children. As they were increased, so they sinned against me. Therefore will I change their glory into shame. So, Selah on those two passages as we proceed to share some in-depth information. The first brother I want to share, I want to bring on to share with us is Brother Nehesu. Brother Nehesu Nag Negas El. Are you there with us, my brother?
Yes, I am. Peace.
Right. Good to have you with us tonight. I want you to just go in a little bit and to share your journey, how you came into the consciousness that you are more.
This is going to be more so my testimony and not so much as the academic evidence, even though I will be citing some books that were influential upon me. I first started off as a Christian, Baptist Christian, going to church every Sunday. And every Sunday I would be there bright and early. Since I was in 6th grade, I didn't miss a day. And there were some things in the church that didn't stick out to me, and I saw its mechanism being used against, just the separation between. I became conscientious and seeing my brothers go to one church and my other white friends go to other churches. And I'm from Sacramento, California, and we're a pretty eclectic group of people out here. And oftentimes we get along in regards of skin color, but there are issues as well. But either way, as I got older and I just went through college and so forth, right before I entered my master's program of urban education leadership, I started studying the Shabbat and also found what's called Constantine's Creed or Rome's Challenge. You could look it up. Rome specifically says that they are pretty much functioning as God himself in the office. So that bothered me, being a devout Jesus follower. I continued I continued to study that concept. And as I studied this concept, I've come to realize that the Shabbat is a covenant between man and God. And that not only is it the day of the Shabbat, but also the other Moedim, and which you guys are very familiar with. So as I started studying, I started realizing a whole lot more. I became part of the Messianic movement and learned Hebrew and started, studying at yeshivas, going to Chabad, part of Mosaic Law congregation here in Sacramento. And I continue to study and study. And in studying with some of my Jewish friends, I kind of find out that a question was asked: isn't it possible that Moses brought out, or Moshe brought out of Egypt these concepts of Torah as being their Egyptian? And we started exploring that, the priests and the priesthoods and so forth. And so, as I studied Hebrew, I started really digging into stuff and come to find out a lot of other information. And I created a congregation called Teshuvah Israel, and with a group of other individuals. And there's a couple of books that really, in deciphering the Dead Sea Scrolls, one of the major scholars that I studied was Dr. Albright, who wrote from Cambridge, Harvard University, published a book called The Proto-Sinaitic Inscriptions and Decipherment. And then another one was called the Yahweh and the Gods of Canaan. And in looking at that, he makes it quite clear that these scripts are Canaanite scripts, and that these scripts really depend upon the Canaanite language in deciphering these codes and so forth. And we see that modern Hebrew really doesn't come to play until around the Roman occupation, and the Septuagint is the oldest one. And so these facts really started sticking out to me. And as I really started diving in and learning some of these languages, dibbling and dabbling, but I had great resources of people with depths of knowledge who was able to, who actually were professors. And, my Hebrew teacher was the old teacher at Berkeley over here, UC Berkeley. And I had these resources to show me the reliance upon Canaanite script. And Berkeley had a museum of these things, and it was just amazing to me how you would see the Book of Psalms and the book of and the Egyptian text, and also throughout. And so as I started studying this stuff, I come to realize that, and also by Dr. Albright, Yahweh and the Gods of Canaan, these texts are heavily dependent on this stuff. And I started looking at then I started looking at how are these books classified? How is language classified? And as I started looking at how language were classified, I see that the victors always write history. And as I started looking at this narrative being played out before me, it was written before me. And, it's unfortunate that we come into this prefabricated world and have to figure out things for ourselves as being under this establishment. Come to find out, in all actuality, you cannot find a modern Hebrew script before the Septuagint. And so I started looking further, and they start mixing up things, start classifying as Afro-Asiatic, Asiatic, and just go back to Cujo's videos, and you'll most definitely will see who the Asiatics are. And so no reason to rehash that. And so as I started looking at the paradigms that they're switching history up on me, I soon realized that what they call Paleo-Hebrew is the Canaanite language. The Phoenician language is a Canaanite language, and there's no separation of these. And, and then becoming conscious of this, I started looking at Dr. Ben's book, We the Black Jews. We the Black Jews, he's straight, his culture is ancient. He points out these concepts are ancient, and they go back deep in the Nile Valley. And in the beginning of his book, he states that there is not one hegemony of the Jewish culture or language or what have you. Not language, but culture or religion. And he goes through pretty specifically stating these things that I was not aware of in my youth. And I got to say, I was a victim of some of these European scholars, but we can't hate European scholars because truth doesn't have a shape or form. Truth is truth. You can't hide truth. You can't hide the stars and the moon, and you can't hide the sun. And then it will always come out. And so me learning to function in my own nationality, jumping ahead a little bit, and I'll go back, I realized that I take the truth and weigh it out, regardless of who it comes from. And the Book of Thoth also talks about that these knowledges can't be crystallized, because you can't crystallize this, truth information, because it is always going to evolve and change. And then another book was really good by D.M. Murdoch, talking about Christ in Egypt. And she goes through and explains a lot of these texts that you will find in the Egyptian text. For instance, you have John 11:11, 1 through 14. But compare it with this text of Egyptian text, O Osiris the king, you have gone, but you will return, you have slept. And, it just goes, I'm not going to finish it for these certain purposes, but looking at the hieroglyphics, I started seeing that Masu is Messiah, and it's anointed, and just looking at Dr. Ben's books, I start to realize that our traditions go a lot further. And not only that, going further back in time just means that the branches are going to be spread out further as well through different social, political unrest, trials and tribulations that everybody have. And what brought me to this is just really pure studying. No one taught me this. No one told me this, but just logic. And also watching, after I come to this, I started watching Cujo's video, Taj Tariq Bey's video, Rami Salam, and just the other videos on there kind of breaking this stuff down. But what really hit me is when I was picking up books from the 1500s and 1600s, and they would use the word more or Negro interchangeably. And that kind of stuck out to me. And then I followed further about how the North Africans, the Moabites, were able to settle in North Africa. And then I started looking at ancient artifacts in America and how they have I think it's called the Jubilee Stone, where it's inscribed, and it follows the Moedim, the Hebrew, and the calendar. And it's over here in America. But it doesn't, they're not under Hebrew Israelites. That's not who they're under. This was the Mexim. I come to find out this artifacts in just my own search. And I think what really is important is for us to be honest. To maintain a healthy mentality, we have to accept reality. And that sometimes is accepting truth and being dedicated to truth, being willing to be uncomfortable when we don't have that truth and wrestling through things. also with our people, because we're so spiritual, and because we are so, we have the photosynthesis of the sun in our own skin, that me less than others, but I still vibrate at a high frequency, that we have a propensity to be spiritual and to be trustworthy and to be trusting. As Columbus stated when he came over here, our downfall was being too trusting and too open. And we have to realize that we're going to change and evolve. And I don't want to be wrong, but I was wrong. But not only was I wrong, I was also correct. Because every calendar, every religious system follows the calendar of the sciences. And looking at that, I can relate to my Muslim friends. I can relate to many people because I'm open-hearted like that. I'm good. I love people. I follow the love, peace, truth, justice, and freedom motto. And that is nothing but the Torah exemplifies as well. So coming into this, I had to admit that there were some truths I didn't know. Because we all have to admit, the more we learn, the more we study, the less we really realize we don't know. And within this, we have to be able to reconcile these truths and be dedicated to truth. And when we do our research, we shouldn't go to research to try to prove something. We should go to research with a blank slate, like what is it? What is the truth? Not to try to prove a truth. We can do that all day, but going for discovery and weighing the evidence ourselves, and then let it meditate and digest on that. Because I still have my Talit Gadol. Those things I like those things. Those have sentimental value. And because we're sentimental people and we have a sentimental book, we take that sentimentality sometimes further beyond rationality. And I'm not saying anybody's being irrational. I'm just saying our academic approach and our own personal approach to how we deal with certain things are not necessarily most accurate. And we have to have parameters in which way we weigh evidence. Each piece of evidence needs to have a good explanation power that can bring out a probability. Because there's nothing for certain, and nothing's for sure, and nothing lasts forever. But there's nothing for certain. And so, and everything is perspective. And the theory of relativity can prove that. And so I started questioning a lot of things that are in that book, and started challenging a lot of notions in there, and a lot of ancient ideas, the four pillars, and just some kind of a prehistoric, not say prehistoric in a bad way, but just older concepts from where science has delivered us. And I love being a Moor because it has excluded me from doctrination and has incorporated me with a way to live in a healthy way that incorporates science, not as a mythology and not as anything else, but just as atoms and me connecting my personal experience to the whole galaxy and the whole universe, as well as the Torah does with this calendar. But also, it lets me realize that I am not a backseat participant in my salvation. My salvation starts with me, and my temple is deep within me. Because Yeshua, what did he say? He said the kingdom of heaven is at hand. And the kingdom of heaven is at hand, which is within us. That's where the truth is really hidden, because we are connected in the earth. But we are connected, and we are brought in his image, and we are from the dust, and we are in that image eternally. And I know there's a lot of things that brothers are going to bring up, and I just want to conclude, just as a personal, from heart to heart, the best way I can convey my experience and my love to my brothers is just from this personal. I didn't want to get academic, but just really connect on the way we approach things. And as a people, we can't separate ourselves by these things that we weren't there and we were holding sentimental. But what's really interesting that I have recently come to look at is that we know King David. First, I'll start with this. Yeshua, he is who he is, whoever he say he is, and he was granted whoever he say he was to the text by being a biological child of a woman, however, no father. Well, if we're going to take that as an acceptance, we have to look at King David. Who was his mother? She was a Moabitess. And we look at throughout the Tanakh, we see that that there's Moabites, Canaanites, still there in the land, intermingling and interfaithing, or if you want to say. So it's conceptual, as well as biologically. You can't get rid of your Canaanite blood because King David also had Moabite blood. And that's something I just want to end on as a perspective that I'm looking at, and I'll be willing to learn from anybody else. I'm the Hesunah Niggas L, and I just want to give love, peace to all my brothers out there. And thank you Cujo and the Canaanland Moors for this opportunity to give my heart and make myself vulnerable to you guys, and just to try to share something that's changed my life as I learn how to stand on my square. Peace out from Sacramento, California.
Nice.
Islam, peace and love for that. Peace and love for that. And I guess you could continue on more.
Indeed, indeed. Our next week, I appreciate that brother Nehesu for sharing that powerful testimony. And he's one of our key students as well. He's been growing and learning and studying, and has a wealth of information, a great researcher at that. And we appreciate him in all that he does for us. Our next brother, I call him my brother-in-law because we are so close, and we go back, way back. And so my brother Hakmaya Avraham L, aka we call him Maji, but that's his Hebrew, Moorish Hebrew appellation, and we want to hear from him, and want you guys to pay close attention to his testimony. The mic is yours, my brother.
All right, thank you, big brother. Peace and prosperity to the family. Islam Moors, how we doing today?
Islam.
Excellent.
Islam, all is well, Moor.
Wonderful.
All is well.
Wonderful. You know, I'm doing wonderfully well myself. If I was doing any better, I might be perfect, because this is a perfect time to be living. This is a wonderful time to be in this dispensation of time, to get together and unify with truth, and unify with those things that we know will give our people movement, and give us energy, and give us peace, and give us prosperity, not from now, but 1,000 years from now. You know, I definitely want to thank Prophet Noble Drew Ali. I want to thank Cujo for the work he's doing. Definitely want to thank Taj, and definitely want to thank my brother Safanya for the work he's doing, and the Hashu as well. I mean, and many other brothers that are out there in the trenches, and they're trying to get the information out to our people, because that's one challenge that we're having, is just getting the information out. You know, we are a stiff-necked people. So here's the walk that I have had the opportunity, the wonderful opportunity, and I actually chose this walk, and I'll demonstrate that to you in a second. But, you know, I was raised Christian as well. You know, I was raised in a Baptist church, and from a little boy, I had always studied to be a minister. I was in the Bible at the time, read it a couple times, and then when I grew to be an adult, I became a co-pastor of a church, a very well-known church, actually in Detroit, Michigan. And, you know, I'm a studier. I'm a researcher. I research things that other people would not even think of looking into. So when I was young, I used to go in a closet in what we call prayer, which is actually meditation. But I used to pray. The opposite of prayer is meditation. Meditation has more power. When you pray, you are going outside of yourself. You are praying to something outside, if you will. But we know from ancient wisdom that knowledge and all of the things that you need are inside of you. So when you meditate, you go inside, and you pull out the power that you need to survive, and you pull out those powers that you need to excel and be successful, if you will, and complete the mission that you came to this plane of existence to complete. So when I was a little boy, when I was, younger, in my 20s, I used to go and pray for infinite wisdom. I wanted the wisdom of Shlomo or Solomon. And I got that wisdom. As the years went by, the master forces of the universe continue to give me wisdom. Because while I was in the church as a co-pastor, I would notice, hey, there are seasonal sermons, if you will. And I will go back and look at my notes and I will study and study and study, because I'm not that type of servant that you could just tell me something. You know, I go back and I look it up. So I would hear the same sermons. Easter time, I would hear the same sermon. Come around Thanksgiving time, I would hear the same sermon. And I'm not the type of individual to keep going around the same mountain. And that's that principle in the scriptures where we see our people keep going around the same mountain. My spirit has been brought to this plane of existence to stop us from going around the same mountain. It was evident that our people went around the same mountain for 40 years. You know, in a time span of 40 years, you can come to this plane of existence, and all of the bad food that we eat and all of the lotion that we put on that's clogging our pores and all of the perms that our women put in our hair most of the time, you could die and make your transition to another plane of existence. I won't say die, because we know energy never dies. It's just transmitted or transformed. But you could expire from this plane of existence and leave in 40 years, never knowing who you really are. And guess what, brothers and sisters? We are of the same cloth. We're from the same mother. So there's no need for us to continue to go back and forth and argue over dogma and be dogmatic toward each other. Because I know just as well as I heard the same sermons, you're hearing the same sermons. So just to keep moving forward, to make a long story shorter, I came into the Hebrew Israelite way of life. And I began to make comparisons between the Old Testament and the New Testament, which was really mind-boggling to me, because the names change. You know, you have names as Isaiah and Yeshayahu, or you have Yitzchak or Isaac and Yaakov or Jacob in the Old Testament, but then you go to the New Testament and you got Mark, Luke, John, and things of that nature. And then you look at the scriptures and you begin to compare, and the Old Testament says that you should do circumcision, circumcise your boys, and then the New Testament dictates that you should not. It's not as important. So there are direct contradictions. So now here's another division amongst our people. So I began to think, and that is what I'm submitting to you, brothers and sisters, today. We must begin to think. We must begin to analyze, critically think with rigor, and analyze what we're being told. So as I got into the Hebrew camp, I began to see some similarities when I began to compare and contrast the religion that I just left, which was Christianity. I mean, I was a prominent co-pastor, if you will, very popular. But I left it, and I was comfortable leaving, because I knew in my travels, and I was actually the assistant to a very prominent preacher when he was running for president. When he would come into the city and things of that nature, I would assist and him with his campaign. And I began to notice things behind the scenes. You know, how is it that our pastors are driving certain vehicles, but their congregation is catching the bus or driving, hoopties and things of that nature? You know, when I began to study African wisdom and proverbs, there's a proverb that says the chief of the village eats last, because he guarantees that the people that are under his tutelage eat first. But the people love the chief so much that they ensure he eats first. So everybody eats at the same time, if you will. So I began to notice all of these happenings in religion and things of that nature. And when I got into the Hebrew Israelite camp and things of that nature, and did very well in the Hebrew Israelite camp, became very popular as well. Studied, became very astute in the law as well. But I began to notice some similarities. You know, and I dare to say that a lot of times it felt like I was in church. And the only differences were the language, of course. And the names were changed around. So as opposed to saying Jesus, we would say Yeshayahu or Yeshaya, you see. Or as opposed to saying God, we would say Yah or Yahweh. But the names would definitely just change to a different language. The biggest thing that stood out to me was our people were not unified. We were not moving with the knowledge that we have. How is it that one gains wisdom in the earth and knowledge of things, and there's no change in your lifestyle? There's no change when it comes to how you treat women. Because when I get into our camp, I saw the basic thing. There's no change in how you treat one another. There's no change in what you say to one another. There's no change in the love, how you address one another. How is that possible? We're not thinking. How is it possible that we come into knowledge that is supposed to be absolute truth, ultimate truth, and we can't demonstrate it? We can only go to a book that was written so many thousands of years ago. We don't have witnesses of history that was passed down to us that can confirm and demonstrate. For example, we have ancient wisdom from our foremothers and forefathers that dictate. I can tell you from a rites of passage that I've gone through from the Dogon civilization, from a 22,000 year history, rites of passage. We have knowledge, our ancestors have knowledge of spirits and how they operate. So I can take a name at birth and tell you all the characteristics of that individual. The same information that England took, Europe, the small country, England, when their ancestors went to our ancestors and got educated at the University of Timbuktu. But we don't talk about that. We don't talk about the information, the universal law. We don't talk about the 5 sacred, secret sciences that are available to us. We don't talk about that. But this is the same information that England uses to this very day to rule the world. Whenever you get information, and the scriptures can confirm this, in Mishle Proverbs, whenever you get wisdom, it is from you. And it comes from the master forces of the universe. So how is it that we are getting information and wisdom and knowledge and truth and is not benefiting our families 1,000 years from now? Not right now only, but 1,000 years from now. Well, let me take a moment and pause and tell you why it's not benefiting us, why it is not beneficial to us. Why is religion not beneficial to us? Because religion is a belief system. And whenever you believe, and we learned this in the Hebrew camp, whenever you believe something, and the brothers and sisters are very articulate, very elegant. You know, one thing that I did take away from being a Hebrew Israelite is brothers are attempting to be, and sisters are attempting to be very disciplined. You know, we lived a very disciplined lifestyle. You know, we worshiped on the Shabbat, and we ate certain foods. We researched our foods. I'm very thankful for that information. That did benefit my life. But I'm talking beneficial in the sense that what is going to take us out of this tribal-minded thinking to where we get into a thinking nation. You know, we were cut off at that point. We were cut off at the tribal stage. Every nation that evolves, they start with the family, which is the best kept secret, our families. And then they evolve into a clan. And then they evolve into a tribe, and from the tribe to a clan, and then from a clan to a nation. We were cut off at the tribal stage during slavery, and we're going to talk about that as well. But how is it that we are not benefiting? Because the tune of a nation, to where we are building and manufacturing from the knowledge that we are gaining, and our children are not dying in the streets. We're not benefiting because we have attached ourselves to belief systems. And these belief systems are exactly that. They're belief systems. And belief systems are not created. In fact, those individuals who got the information from our ancestors, they created these belief systems so that we would take part in them. How do we know that religions are belief systems? Because there are 5,000 of them, over 5,000 of them. And they all claim to be right. They all claim to be the truth. They all claim to be the absolute truth. How do we know who's right? How can you prove that the individuals in the Bible actually live? You know, we can prove how the sun rises. We can prove how the moon exists because we know that from the reflection of the sun that we see the moon, so that the moon would not exist without the reflection of the sun. We can prove these things. We can prove how a plant or a seed is implanted in the ground, and then it grows and sprouts and makes a harvest of fruit or whatever the seed's origin was. We can prove how a baby is implanted into a woman. We can prove these things. Why cannot we prove our belief systems? Because belief systems and religion, which are belief systems, are not meant for you to benefit. They're not meant for you to be proven. So all they're meant to do is for you to be dogmatic toward one another. Go back and forth until years go by. You keep going around the same mountain, and your people are not benefiting thousands of years from now, from what you're doing today. Because the fact of the matter is, all we have is today. And if you spend today arguing with one another as opposed to planning and uniting with one another on plans that will benefit our children, that will feed our children, clothe our children, provide shelter for our women and children 1,000 years from now, then you wasted this moment, this day. That's what belief systems are set up to do. So let me demonstrate. When you get the opportunity, I want you to look up the word gematria. 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 And this word gematria will explain to you that all of these 5,000 belief systems have been put into a code, a mathematical code of principles. And guess what, brothers and sisters? We didn't write the book, so we don't have the code. Some of us have the code. Jewish individuals have the code because they wrote the book. They wrote the book, however, from the information that was given to them from guess who? Your ancestors. And this is how, when we go into a courtroom, dates are pushed back according to your spirit. Because they want you to come in court not fully armed or shield. They want you to come when your energy is low. You see, it is a code. So why are we fighting over a code or arguing over a code that we have no knowledge of and don't understand? So let's go into some demonstration. Brother Stefano, Brother Cujo, I would like for you, if possible, and Cujo, keep me on time. Let me know how much time I got. But I would like for you to give me somebody's name at birth. Give me somebody's first name at birth. And I'm going to demonstrate for our brothers and sisters that we are wasting time on the wrong things. I want to demonstrate some ancient wisdom from our foremothers and forefathers.
I say Dustin.
Dustin. Spell it for me.
Dustin.
Okay, Brother Neheshu, I thank you very much. Now, Brother Dustin is someone close to you, correct? And I've never met Dustin because I love you, brother, but we haven't met. We haven't laid out.
Correct.
Okay, so brother Dustin. So now I'm going to give you, with your permission, some ancient wisdom on Brother Dustin, and I'm going to give you personal characteristics of Brother Dustin's spirit. Do I have your permission?
Yes. I'd like to hear his information.
Okay, so Brother Dustin is definitely he has a need for structure. Brother Dustin has a need for details. Brother Dustin, he cannot appear to be disorganized because he has a need for structure and details. Brother Dustin is definitely passionate. He is definitely loyal. Brother Dustin, you will see Brother Dustin sometimes he can be a person that we would call jealous. Someone that has a problem turns Brother Justin on because Brother Dustin is definitely a problem solver. Brother Dustin is a planner. He's a builder. He's a designer, a promoter. He definitely has determination. He definitely has willpower. He has intent, and he has perfect purpose. He's definitely a person of business, and Brother Dustin is definitely a worker. What grade would you give me so far? And don't give me a C. I've never gotten a C.
Yeah, from what I understand of the brother, that is 100% right on.
Absolutely. So I'm going to give you a little bit more. Can I give you a little bit more? Do I have your permission?
Oh, yeah, man. You can talk about him all you want.
Okay. So Brother Dustin is definitely an individual that is clever. He is definitely intelligent. But on the unrighteous side, Brother Dustin can be shrewd. Because Brother Dustin has what we call above average intelligence. Brother Dustin is definitely a gatherer. He's definitely glamorous. He has influence when he talks to people. He's a happy person. He's accidental. Sometimes he gets into what we would call accidents. He's well informed though, and he definitely has the memory of an elephant. What grade would you give me?
Yep, I'd give you a really high grade on that. You have not said one thing that is off from what I know of the individual.
And see, this is the type of information that our ancestors have. They had. And they are passing it on if we are willing to learn. Now, thank you, Brother Neheshu. Thank you so much for allowing the opportunity.
Yeah, thank you, brother. I had to know.
So, and this is the type of thing that our ancestors taught to our children. What would it be like if you knew your children like this? What would it, then you would know why they act the way that they act. What would it be like if you knew the people at your jobs like this? or the employers, the employees that we are going to be hiring. You know, we are not just talking, we are building. We are building our own banking institutions all over this country. We are building our own school systems all over this country. We have to begin to stop and think and learn who we are. When you begin to talk about Satan and God, you know, somebody tried to go in on the comments and things of that nature. You know, don't be offensive, brothers and sisters, because when you unite with energy in this plane of existence, if you unite with the wrong energy, you become a part of that energy. So you just jump out right away, sending waves out in the air, and once it hits the ether, it takes a life of its own, and you begin to insult each other. We don't want to unite with that type of energy, because we have already united with energy that is unrighteous. So as a result, we have become unrighteous. You know, you can begin to curse yourself from your very thoughts. And we know that this is true. You know, somebody jumped on and said, you know, you got the star in the back. Something I heard, some foolishness, and I just kind of fast forwarded at that moment because I didn't want to unite with that energy. And I'm not calling you foolish, but it was a foolish statement. The star in the back is a 10,000-year-old flag. The president, well, the head of the United States Corporation, he flies the same flag. That flag in the back of my older brother right there, Safanya Abraham, and I call him my older brother even though we're brother-in-law. We're brothers-in-law. But in a previous lifetime, we were blood brothers. We can transcend time and distance, brothers and sisters. That flag behind him is over 10,000 years old. The President of the United States Corporation flies that very flag behind him. We have pictures of President Barack Obama and that flag right behind that brother. You have to go and you have to understand the legal, lawful institution in which you live. You have to understand it, brothers and sisters. We have this knowledge available to us. When you talk about God and Satan, and I'm almost done. When you talk about God and Satan, if you really think about it, who has killed more people? So let's do some call and response. Who's killed more people in the Bible or the Tanakh or in any religion? Who's killed more people? God or Satan? Somebody help me out.
They both.
Okay. Who's killed more?
Yeah, I would say God.
God has. God has. And when you attach yourself to an energy, when you attach yourself to an unrighteous energy, you become unrighteous. And I know that's a bold statement. I know, woo-wee. That's why I'm doing this right here, because I'm not going to unite with anything unrighteous. That's a bold statement. But we have to begin to think. If it's as holy as they say, then why can you turn it backwards and forwards? You know, if it's holy on top, it's holy underneath, it's holy through the middle, it's holy forward, and it's holy backwards. So why is it that when we turn the word God backwards, when we decode it or encode it, it comes to dog? We have to begin to think, brothers and sisters, what energies are we uniting ourselves with? You know, I'll give you another example of uniting yourself with energy. Because if it's unrighteous, you're going to end up exhibiting unrighteous energy yourself and unrighteous qualities yourself. We've united, and I'll just take the presidential race, for example, is a very, hot topic right now. So let's just look at that. I mean, we know both parties have their faults, right? And I'm not saying unite with any, but I'm going to just give you an example of uniting with a unrighteous energy, since that's a hot topic right now. The Democratic Party. The Democratic Party at its core energy, when it started, was the party of the Ku Klux Klan. It was the party of lynching in this country, if you do your research, and just go back and do your research. We united with that party, and at the very moment our people united with that party, we got rid of every economic manufacturing entity we had. We had the Negro League, which was bigger than the baseball league, which was bigger than the European Baseball League at the time. We had Black Wall Street. But as soon as we united with the energy of taking something for nothing, because we've always been a people to build and manufacture. But as soon as we united with that energy, look at every democratic city now. Chicago, murder capital. Gary, Indiana, murder capital. Detroit, Michigan, democratic city, murder capital. Why? Because we united with that energy, and at the core essence of that energy is something for nothing. We have to begin to think and take advantage of what we've been given, which is knowledge and information. And I thank you, brothers and sisters, for tuning in. I know people are going to have a lot of comments, a lot of questions. We want you to go ahead and do it, but we want you to do it in a righteous manner. We want you to do it in a loving manner so that we can unite with each other in a righteous manner and begin to build our own banks, our own schools, our own hospitals, our own libraries. We have to do it in a righteous manner. Any questions, comments, or concerns, cries of anguish, tears of joy, any questions, comments, or concerns as to what I just stated? And yes, we are Moorish Americans. We did not come over here on ships. It just don't add up. If we did, we're out of ships. You can go to any museum now. You can see a stagecoach from back in the day. You can see a submarine in Henry Ford right there in Dearborn, Michigan. You can go in that museum, and Henry Ford just picked up buildings. He picked up Thomas Edison's home and put it right there in Dearborn, Michigan. Where's the slave ship? He picked up Benjamin Banneker's home and put it right there in Dearborn, Michigan. Where's the slave ship? You see drawings, you see blueprints, but you don't see the slave ships because they didn't exist. And you know what? Another thing, and I'm almost done. Give me 1 minute. The time period it takes to get from the Eastern Hemisphere to the Western Hemisphere, it just don't add up in a boat. And for the amount of numbers of our people that have been in this plane of existence, this Western Hemisphere, for millions of years. And the mounds prove it. The pyramids prove it. You know, when the Nomos came down, those intelligent beings that we call aliens, those, those individuals that can run a spaceship with their mind, you know, you can do the same thing. Once you unite with the right energy, once you have the right thoughts, you can do the same thing, brothers and sisters. You don't have to be scraping this concrete. You're not supposed to be paying for nothing.
That's right.
You're supposed to be working and building, but you're not supposed to be paying for anything. You know, those brothers and sisters, those aliens that we call them, that came down, those Nomos, and gave the Dogon civilization, who we give no credit to. We give no credit. And they're the ones that started the constellation, the star constellation, discovered the star constellation, astronomy. They discovered math, invented writing, language, weight of words, and all of that. The energies that's attached to the spirit of names and all of that. And we give them no credit. No credit. Brothers and sisters, we got to wake up and start thinking. And I thank you, brothers, very, very much for the opportunity. I know I said a lot. I'm going to sit back and hopefully that's enough to chew on for now. Thank you so much. Peace and prosperity.
Islam.
Islam, hallelujah.
Appreciate that. Appreciate it, brother Hak Maya, breaking it down. I appreciate your energy, my brother. I can feel it. And I know you wanted to go in more.
Absolutely.
You got a wealth of knowledge to go in. Coach Joe holding the 3 fingers up.
Yeah, absolutely.
How much time do we have, Brother Cujo?
We got right now we're hitting about 57 minutes, so we got another 20 minutes, half hour if you how much ever you need.
Okay, all right, that sounds good. I want to just kind of go in and dovetail, camelback off of what my brothers have already shared, and I appreciate both of them for their wisdom and their zeal and their passion to bring forth the message to our people, because definitely we are stiff-necked people, we're hard-headed, we don't want to listen, but nevertheless, it's up to you to make the choice, whether you want to ascend higher or you want to stay in their base, lower state, the lower chakras as we call them, the lower self. There's only 2 selves, the higher self and the lower self. In order for you to know your devil, which is not outside of you, is within yourself, which is the lower self. And you have to learn both. And you have to learn how to ascend to your higher heights, so that way you can start manifesting the desires that you are envisioning within your own mind. So we want to encourage you to not take these things lightly that we're saying. And I know most of us have been conditioned. We've been conditioned in our minds to think a certain way, because the Europeans have brainwashed us in a negative sense and started infiltrating their thoughts into our minds. And so we have taken their thoughts, and their thoughts have kept us in the lower chakras, while they're taking our thoughts, our ancient thoughts, and have ascended. Even though they've put spins and they've done things that most of us probably wouldn't do, but nevertheless, they're using our ancient knowledge, because knowledge is neutral. It's very neutral. Just like water. Water can quench a thirsty man's thirst on a hot summer day, but it also can drown you at the same time. Fire can warm you up in the winter, but it also can burn your house down. It's just how you use it, how you use the knowledge. So I just want to take a few more minutes to go into some of the other questions that our brothers and sisters had. And based on what my 2 brothers have shared, it pretty much sums it up like this. I want you to take a look at this picture right here. I want you to take a real good look at that. This pretty much sums it up. Comforting lies, unpleasant truths. Comforting lies, unpleasant truth. You see, comforting lies, everybody is in that line. As they say, everybody is in that line. And that's pretty much how the masses are, who has been given dogma. Comforting lies. And those unpleasant truths that we are sharing, we don't get much response, not favorably. But you know what? There's a new day dawning, because the energies of the universe, this time of Aquarius, where the water bearer is pouring out knowledge all over the place, and those that are truly seeking, they're the ones that are awakening in their minds to who they are. Now, as we always say, nationality is the order of the day. It takes you back to your ancient mindset of your forefathers and mother, as Noble Drew Ali said. So we're going to, I want to address the star situation back here. I will point right here to our green star. This is our flag, our Moorish flag. This is the red flag with the 5-pointed star in the middle, one of the brothers on their comments has said that this is in reference to Satan. Well, I want to correct the brother. It has nothing to do with Satan whatsoever. Matter of fact, the 5-pointed green star has to do with our mother planet, Venus. Okay? Where that green energy comes from, and you can see her in her brightness during, actually it was last month. You can actually see it. It's a bright, bright star. All right. Anyhow, another question that came forth I want to address, and it has to do with our feds that you see my brother wore, and you saw me last week. I had it on. This week I have a kufi on. Okay, that's a part of our ancient headdress as well. Also, I want to show you guys that on my garment, on my dashiki, I do have tzitzis, tassels, right here. And I do wear those on my garment as well because I understand the science of the tzitzis, which represents the 4 corners, the 4 energies, the 4 elements. Okay? That's a whole nother science lesson in itself. So all of these things are ours that have been passed down from generation to generation. I want to go into this whole notion that the Fez came from from Turkey. And a brother who responded to the first video, part 1, had made mention that the Fez came straight out of Turkey. Well, I think my brother needs to do a little bit more research because obviously you've been listening to some unconscious, conscious people who have been promoting that lie for quite some time now. And so I want to kind of read something to the family from the master teacher himself, Taj Tariq Bey. I want you guys to listen to what he says in reference to this whole notion that the Fez, which is our national head cover, dress, and what he says in his research and understanding over 30 years of walking in consciousness as a Moor. Listen to what he says. He said, many have been mistaken to think that the Europeans who wear the Fez in secret are the originators of the Fez. They are aware of the meaning and purpose of the Fez as it is crown worn by those of the Moorish nation, which represents the matriarch. The Europeans have usurped and stolen the crown and the birthrights as well. They have utilized the science and high culture embodied and represented in the wearing of the Fez, which is the science of the universe, the workings of nature and natural order. This is one of the reasons Drew Ali said, live off your virtues, and why some describe them as vampires who suck your royal blood and who cannot come out into the light of the sun or the light of truth. Our miseducation has led us to misgivings and to a dark and ignorant place of not knowing. Thus, we suffer from a lack of knowledge and argue against each other as to the origins of many things, including the Fez. Many think the Fez belongs to Turks, without knowing that the original Turks or Moors of the Ottoman Empire. The Ottoman Empire being active into the world wars, which coincides with the 40s, wherein COINTELPRO charged Moors of the Moorish Science Temple, claiming they were in cahoots with Japan against the United States, which is an abstract. Others think the Fez was originated and belongs to the pale Arabs of today, without knowing that original Arabs or Arabs or Moors, and that some sold each other out into slavery even while wearing the fez, as they do or attempt to do today. This is one of the reasons Drew Ali said, be careful, Moors, some of your own wearing turbans and fezzes will put you back into slavery. So this whole notion that the fez originated from Turkey, okay, even if you say that, who are the original Turks, as we just read? They were the Moors. People look just like you and I. They weren't the modern day Turks that you see today. The pale-skinned Arabs, as we call them. So you guys got to do a little bit more homework and a little bit more scholarly research to come up with nonsense like this and to try to throw people off thinking that we are off into wearing somebody else's stuff. When we are the fathers and mothers of civilization, we are the door to civilization. So why do we need to steal anything from somebody else when we already originated? Everybody's stealing from us. Let me show you some other proofs. Take a look at this photo. If you can see these gentlemen, these are Shriners. These are Shriners. Okay? Look at their fez, which they stole from us. They have on them Islam. They have on it Morocco. They have on it Muslim. They have on it El Bay. Look at that. See that? Morocco. All that is our stuff. If you go to George Washington Museum there in Alexandria, and you'll see about 200 and something different fezzes, all of them marked with different names on them. They have Moors, Morocco, El Bay, Islam, all written on there. So where do you think they get that from? I don't hear anybody arguing about that. This is your stuff, but you don't want it. And we as Moors are presenting it back to you and say, hey, this is your stuff. This is your ancient material. This is your ancient garb. But because many of us have been blinded by the Europeans, we thinking that is something foreign that we stole from somebody else. It's nonsense. Let me give you another photo. All of you are familiar with this. The big heads down there, the Olmec heads. Look at that brother right there. Look at that cap he has on. That's actually a semi-fez. Okay, if you see it break down there, you have the little tassels coming down right there. He has the cap on there. Okay, this is the Olmec head down in Mexico. Okay, all of this is our stuff, our people. Look at those lips. Look at those broad noses. Look at those cheekbones. Those just like some of our people, don't they? Same folk. Now, I want to show you the back of the brother's cap. Close up. See the cornrows that we wear in our head today with the little beads right here? You see that? You see our sisters and some of our brothers have our cornrows, and at the end you get the little beads, little circles and all that. You know, it's nothing new under the sun. We're the same people. Same people. Let's continue. Since you said we stole stuff from some pale-skinned Arabs, take a look at these brothers right here. The statues in the Atlantis Islands. Old statue. Look at those fences there. Look at that. Look at those head. Look at the headdress. Doesn't it look similar to what we wear is more, but that's over here, the Atlantis Islands. But you say it came from Turkey. We stole it from the Turks. What are they doing over here? Huh? Somebody give me some explanation for that. Right here in Atlantis Island, did the Turks come over here and put those caps on their head? Come on, people. Let's wake up. Let's wake up. I'm here to show you another picture. Photo. A little feedback here. Brother Steppen Fetchit. I don't know if you guys remember this brother, not Steppen Fetchit. He, back in 1935, did a movie with, what's the boy's name there? What's his name? It'll come to me in a second, but look at the fez on his head. He was in a movie back in 1935. Why is he wearing a fez and not the other ones? This is a movie about the Egyptians. Charlie Chan, that's the name. Charlie Chan. And he was in this movie with Charlie Chan, and look at his fez right there. A brother wearing the fez. Back in 1935 in a movie with Charlie Chan. Now, why do they have him displayed as with a fez on and not the pale skinned one, since it originated with the pale skins? Just don't make any sense.
Brother Savon,
Yes, sir.
that movie was actually Charlie Chan
And what?
in Egypt.
Yes.
Now, the name of the movie was Charlie Chan, Egypt, and actually they shot it. They didn't shoot it in Egypt. They shot it in northwest of Mexico, which is actually current day the Americas.
Exactly.
Because they call northwest of Mexico Little Egypt of the West.
Right. Exactly. It's no different, people. Over there, over here, we only separated by water. Same people. No different. Just like crossing the Mississippi. Your cousins live on the other side of Mississippi. You live on that side of Mississippi. Are you still not cousins? Come on. Let's think a little bit. Look at this photo. This is a Moroccan girl with a fez on. Moroccan girl with a fez on. Look how she looks. Look like one of our sisters over here, right? Look like a Shanika, Ranika, you know? Very beautiful sister with a fez on. But yet, you say that it originated from Turkey, from the pale skin. How sad. They stole our stuff and they're utilizing it, as Brother Hakmayah eloquently stated earlier. You know, they got our stuff and they're using it against us. You see, this is the daughter of American Revolution, which is part of Hillary Clinton's clan. See those ladies wearing our national headdress? Because they understand the power of it. But you don't want it. You don't want to wear that. Oh, that's an old bucket hat, as you call it. But you don't understand the science of it. The power that comes along with wearing that. Because it has everything to do with the universal energies of the womb of the matriarch. I know many of you know this picture. Good old Georgia boy. I'm going to read this. This is what he said, the quote from him. It says, if we would agree to take the fezzes and turbans off the Moors, not the Hebrew Israelites, he said the Moors, which we all the same. if we agree to take the fezzes and turbans off the Moors' head and remove the sandals from their feet and enforce severe punishments, and to also swear a death oath between ourselves to religiously and faithfully not to allow anyone to teach the Moorish children who they really were or who their forefathers were, and only allow the Moorish children to be taught that they were truly Negroes, black people, and colored folks. 200 years from today, the Moorish people would not know their nationality, nor the national name of their forefathers. Also, they would not know from which land or ancestors that they are descended from. Now, whether he said that or not is a true statement, because that's basically what has happened. I wouldn't be doing this video right now. We wouldn't be doing this video right now had we not fallen asleep, had we not given up our birthright. And that's why we're here bringing this message to you, to bring you back into the constitutional fold of government, to line yourself back up with your forefathers and mothers, and to hopefully help you to ascend back into yourself, because you are your only savior. I want to show you another picture. This is the queen, the last queen monarch in Hawaii, Queen Liliuokalani. Liliuokalani. You look her up on YouTube. She reigned in 1895 approximately for several years as queen in Hawaii. Look at this sister. Look at her. Looks like one of our aunts, right? Looks like one of your aunts or your cousin or your mama in Hawaii. Queen. Why haven't you heard anything about her? Most of us haven't. She was born in 1838. Her brother was king, and he gave her the ruling power when she came on the throne in 1895. A great book that you guys can purchase, Moorish Jewels by Rami's Islam El. Very good book if you want to learn more about your Moorish history and the jewels that you have. And also there's another book, and I for some reason, Cujo, I can't put my hand on it. You might want to show it. It's your book and Brother Ramio book about the what's that, amazing facts about, you know, Moorish Americans. Mm-hmm. I mean, that's a great book. I mean, you sit there and read that book, you don't want to put it down. So, I want to read something else real quick before our time gets off from us. Everyone who's in the Hebrew Israelite community probably familiar with this book right here. From Babylon to Timbuktu by Rudolph Windsor. Everybody knows this book, okay? And he's a scholar, and he says some things in here just to show you the connection between the Moors and the Hebrew Israelites. And he states in here, page 106 in his book, he says the language which is called Hebrew Phoenician or Canaanite was employed in the lands called Phoenicia, Palestine, or Canaan for over 1,000 years before the Armenians, Abraham, Yitzchak, or Isaac, and Jacob came to Canaan. The Israelites lost their Aramaic language and adopted the Hebrew speech of the Canaanites. The Hebrew Phoenician merchants from the cities of Sidon and Tyre controlled the trade along the Mediterranean coast for more than 1,000 years before there were any economic treaties made with the Israelites. The Hebrew-speaking Phoenician Canaanites established their greatest city, Carthage, at Tunis in North Africa. All the Canaanites were so-called black people. Also, he goes on to say, on page 109, he says, at this time in the land of Spain, the black Jews, so-called black Jews, were persecuted and many had fled to Morocco for refuge. As a result of this persecution, the Jews of Morocco and the Moors planned to invade Spain with the assistance of Spanish Jews, quote unquote. In the meantime, the plot was uncovered and the Jews of Spain suffered for their intentions. Early in the 8th century, the Mohammedans from Morocco, united with the black Jews, made what we call an amphibious landing at Gibraltar. This invasion was successful. Nahum Shloshas says that, quote, the first one to set foot on the soil of Spain was General Tarif, a Jew of the tribe of Simeon, after whom the island of Tarifa opposite Tangiers was named. However, the Rock of Gibraltar, previously known as the Pillars of Hercules, received its new name from the great Moorish conqueror Jabal al-Tariq, which means the mountain of Tariq. And this is a Hebrew Israelite. This is a Hebrew Israelite talking like this, right? But yet you guys don't want to listen to us. We saying the same thing he's saying. All right? So maybe because of his scholarship, you guys will listen. In the last paragraph I want to read from his book, page 111, it says, there were many famous Moorish and Hebrew scholars in southern Spain. The so-called black Jews, like the Arabs and Moors, made a great contribution not only to Afro-Asian civilization, but also to the European. The Jews in the East knew Greek and Syriac. They helped translate the works of the Greek philosophers into Arabic. In turn, these works were studied by the Arab-speaking Jews of North Africa and Spain and translated into Hebrew. The black Jews of the Moorish kingdom of Spain translated these works into the Latin language, and from Spain, the sciences of the Greeks and the Afro-Asian people were transmitted to Western Europe. So that's one of your famous scholars, Rudolph R. Windsor. And here's a photo of the Canaanite or Phoenician Old Hebrew. This is the comparison of the Phoenician and Old Hebrew language. Take a look at this. I'm going to post it up here for a second so you can get a screenshot of whatever you need to do. Look at that. Look at that. Look at the similarities. It's almost identical. Phoenician or Canaanite Hebrew. Same thing. Same people. No different. Now, we've been telling you these things, these truths, but because I look like you and you look like me, we can't be possibly telling you the truth. So I have more information for you. I want you to take a look at this video, just 4.5 minute video. And I'm going to let the European tell you, because Noble Drew Ali said that he's going to make the European tell the truth. So take a look at this video and we're going to come right back. Wake up!
This is the Bible's explanation for the name Yahweh. But there are certain important and unique features of this burning bush dialogue. First, God identifies himself to Moses as the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. He reveals to Moses a new name, Yahweh, so that Yahwism and the Yahweh cult can be said to begin only with Moses. Exodus 6, verses 2 to 4, very important passage. Exodus 6, verses 2 to 4. And here God says, I am Yahweh. I appeared to Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob as El Shaddai, but I did not make myself known to them by my name, Yahweh.
וארא אל אברהם, אל יצחק ואל יעקב באל שדי, ושמי אדוני לא נודעתי להם.
Now this contradicts the J source. And many scholars have suggested that P and E preserve a memory of a time when Israel worshipped the Canaanite god El. P and E wish to claim that the God who covenanted with the patriarchs is the God of the Exodus, but now with a new name. God is 6 times called El Shaddai. Other names are El Elyon, El Olam, El Roi, El Bethel. You can see the translations of these. The everlasting God, God Most High, a God of seeing, the God of the house of God, and so on. El is the name of the chief god in the Canaanite pantheon. It's an important set of texts that were discovered at a place called Ras Shamra. Ras Shamra was ancient Ugarit. In 1928, a peasant in Syria discovered a tomb at Ras Shamra, which was subsequently excavated by the French, and it was found to contain a library of tablets that were written in a language very, very close to Biblical Hebrew. It's clear that Hebrew is simply a Canaanite dialect. In fact, I remember reading one scholar said if you go back far enough, you're really hard-pressed to tell the difference between Canaanite and Hebrew. And in these texts, we read of the exploits of the gods of Canaanite religion. These gods include the sky god El, I've listed here, the father of the various gods and humans. El has a wife, Asherah, she's listed 3rd on your paper, a mother goddess, their daughter Anat, who is a goddess of love and war, she's quite fierce, and then their son Baal, who is a storm god. He's depicted in mythological literature as defeating both the chaotic sea god, the sea god Yam, and the god of death, Mot. There are striking resemblances between the biblical God of the patriarchs and the Canaanite god El. El is the head of the council of gods. He is said to have a long white beard. He dwells on a mountain top in a tent. His epithets include father of all creatures, bull, king. He's also described as the protector of patriarchs, patriarchal figures, a god of the father of the clan, it says in the texts. He guides them, he protects them, he promises them descendants. Many biblical passages depict God exactly this way, as the head of a council of divine beings. He's occasionally described with some of the epithets that are associated with El. He's referred to as the father of all creatures. There are poetic passages in which he is referred to as bull, also certainly as king. And in the patriarchal narratives, God refers to himself as the God of the Father. I am the God of the Father, the same way El is referred to. He guides and protects the patriarchs. He makes promises of progeny to Abraham and his heirs. He also is associated with a mountaintop, Sinai, and gives instructions for the building of a tabernacle, a tent-like structure in which he will dwell. Many personal and place names in the patriarchal narratives are compounds in which one element is El. Yisrael, Yishmael, Beth El. El is the God of the patriarchs. By contrast, after the time of Moses, Israelite names start to be formed using Yah or Yahu as part of the name Yahweh. Elijah in Hebrew is Eliyahu. So you start to have theophorics, names that use the name of a deity, which are using forms of Yahu instead of El.
Yahoo!
Are you sure you know whose God you're worshiping?
Wow, did you see that video? Weren't we saying the same thing that this professor at Yale University found and discovered and researched and studied? Because she's a professor at Yale and because she's a modern European, you probably will believe her more so than your brothers that look like you. Same information, same thing that she's saying that we're saying, and vice versa. So who are you going to believe? You going to continue to believe the popes of Rome, the Jesuits that have your mind in a lower state? Or are you going to believe your brothers who are trying to free you from mental slavery? This is really serious, my brothers and sisters. And it's time for us to start waking up and start uniting, like my brother said earlier. We're uniting together so that way the next generation and the next generation and the next generation, 1,000 years from now, we're thriving. We're thriving. So join us. Claim nationality. Get the foundation back, which is your nationality. Correct your status so we can start taking the land back, which is truly ours. So, with that being said, brothers and sisters, we appreciate your time. I can go into much, much more. Oh, one other thing, Cujo. I got to show this right here. This book, everybody knows this book right here. If you got children, this book right here, The Little Engine That Could. Everybody knows this little book here. I like this little book. I like reading it to my children, right? I'm going to show you some pictures here because these people know who we are and they use our stuff. And most of us read this and they don't even think nothing of it. Why? Because you're consciously dead. Now, the little engine that could. I want you to take a look at this engine right here. Look at it. It's red, just like our flag, and it has a number 7 on it. Why 7? We have the circle 7, right? Why 7? We have the circle 7 of the Holy Quran, the Moorish Temple. That 7 is a serious, serious number. Not just for the Moors, but Egyptians, Kemetan, Ekuta, all of us. That 7 is very significant. Now, turn the page here. Of course, you see a little clown there. You see the colors of the clown. You got the red and the green representing our flag. You see? All right. Let me turn some more pages here. Oh my. Look at the little monkey. Look at the monkey with the red fez. The monkey with the red fez on. In a children's book. What are they trying to tell you people? And they put it right in front of your faces and you don't even consider. As the prophet Isaiah said, my people does not consider. Look up that word, consider. Do the etymology on that. And come back and email me and tell me what you find. Because that's a very powerful word itself. And once again, look at them up there, monkeying around. And that's what we're doing, monkeying around. We don't want to take back what's rightfully ours, so we just monkeying around. Here it is, right before our face. So, brothers and sisters, we got a long way, but we can get there. We can get there together. And once again, I thank you for allowing me to come into your living room or wherever you're watching this video and share this knowledge. And thanks once again for my brothers Nehesu Nag Neges El and brother Hakmaya Abraham El and to brother Cujo for doing this part 2. I wanted to go into some of the sciences as well and address some of the things. Oh, by the way, one of the brothers had made a comment and he says that what good is nationality anyway? America's going down. He said America's going down. Once again, America ain't going down. This is Al-Marak. This is the continent. You misspoke on that. You should be saying the United States is going down. And that's the truth. But America is here, and it's here to stay. And we Moors are going to make sure of that. All right, family. And this is Zephaniah Abraham L. once again, signing out. Email me any questions, comments, or concerns that you have. ZephaniahAbrahamL@gmail.com. gmail.com. Hit me up. Look forward to hearing from you. Peace.
Also, family, definitely want to thank Brother Safanya, Brother Cujo M, Brother Neheshu, Nas. Also, if you like to hit me up, you can go to Facebook. We are High Frequency Radio. I want you to look up The Best Kept Secret, The Best Kept Secret / community on Facebook. Our show is on Saturday night at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And we're talking about The Best Kept Secret, which is our family. And real quick, just ask yourself what you got to lose. Because for years we have been trying this thing and we built businesses. What do you have to lose? All right, family, peace and prosperity.
Let me say this, Sonetta.
People would say Jews, right?
Yes. When we start being honest with each other, and when we begin to really take an approach to try to help our people, we will all come to the same conclusions. You know, you hear all the term that says, all roads lead back to Abraham. Mm-hmm. Now, if you say that to most people, they'll start talking about their belief systems. But yet, in its real original Kabbalistic form, it really represents the activation of the chakras and the lighting of the fire in the head, or what they call the Krishna degree, the Christ degree, upon which all religion only exists to achieve. Mm-hmm. Do you comprehend?
Yeah, I hear you.
No, whether it's Islam, Judaism, Buddhism, Hinduism, or what you call Orthodox Christianity outside of the Niceno-Constantinopolitan Creed of Constantine and his mothers, which is coming in from Delaware. And so we stopped on 40th and Market to the store to pick up some food. And the brothers in there noticed my ring. Mm-hmm. Actually, the brother at the front counter noticed my ring, and he said that's Palestinian. He said that's Palestinian. Mm-hmm. I said, well, Islam. I said it means Allah. He said, yes, it means Allah. And he said he was speaking with an accent. He says yeah, we're Palestine. I'm Palestine. And then
this is a brother or Palestinian.
Palestinian
okay.
At the store.
Yeah.
And this is just actually this past week, mm-hmm. When we first had the first snow, and so he says, where are you from? You know, well, you saw my seal, my
so you had
Morse flag, my Morse flag.
Oh,
I just had my Morse flag on because I had a Scully on.
Right.
And I said, we're from Morocco here. He says, oh, the Maghrib. Oh, and he just continued the conversation. Everybody knows this is Maghrib. The only ones that don't know it is our people.
Yeah. I asked the brother about the connection between the Moors and the Hebrews and were they the same people. The brother respectfully bowed down and said he don't have that type of information.
This is the deal.
Now we got the Grandmaster Teacher here, and he's going to break that down for us.
This is the deal. We're the same people. We're divided by beliefs that have nothing to do with origin, but has much to do with Inquisition operations and just like this. For instance, like you'll see many of our people will say they're African with one breath and then turn around and talk about their black people.
Right.
Do you hear Chinese talking about their Chinese and then talking about their yellow people?
No.
You'll see many of our people will say they're African with one breath and then turn around and talk about their black people.
Right.
Do you hear Chinese talking about their Chinese and then talking about their yellow people?
No.
You'll see many of our people will say they're African with one breath and then turn around and talk about their black people.
Right.
Do you hear Chinese talking about their Chinese and then talking about their yellow people?
No.
You'll see many of our people will say they're African with one breath and then turn around and talk about their black people.
Right.
Do you hear Chinese talking about their Chinese and then talking about their yellow people?
No.
After we lost power in Spain, the Africans ruled Spain from 711. We were calling ourselves Moors.
Because they know that human beings aren't crayons. That's the first indicator when people really don't know civilization, when they start thinking that human beings are crayons and have not studied that the Dutch masters introduced that for social controls in the Western Hemisphere.
When did we start calling ourselves black?
No, when the Europeans started calling us black.
After we lost power in Spain, the Africans ruled Spain from 711. We were calling ourselves Moors.